Sharp King here, coming at you with another episode from ChooseYourRelationships.com, off of Love Can't Wait, which can be found on Amazon.com. And I got a question, and someone wanted to know 3 things African American men can do to get women in Japan. Oh man, that's a good question. And this is something that I wish I knew before I went to Japan. And the first thing I wish I knew is the way we do things, the way we approach women, the way we attract women in America. That way of thinking, if we take that to Japan, most of that shit is not going to work. And most guys make the same mistake today that I made 17 years ago. And the bad part about it, if you go to Japan and let's say you start hanging around Japanese people or maybe people that's over there just like you maybe gonna be over there for a couple years, a couple months, or whatever. No one is gonna tell you that you're doing something wrong. No one's gonna tell you what I'm about to reveal to you in this video. And I thought that was interesting because after 2 years, after I learned the culture and how what it's really all about living there, I was like, why the fuck none of these people that I've been hanging around all this time never told me that I was making these mistakes. And the fascinating thing is, the reason why they don't tell you, they'll just cut you off, never talk to you again, never speak to you again. Because that way of doing things is less controversial from their perspective. And they don't like to really discuss anything over there. They just won't invite you or have you around anymore. So they'll just... Now, coming from the Western side of the game, to us, that's kind of weird. It can be rude. Some people will perceive that way of doing things to be kind of rude, but in Japan, they like to keep the harmony, But at the same time, if you're doing things that offend somebody and no one ever tells you, there's a good chance you're going to keep making the same mistake until you come to your own conclusion. This is why I just don't really... You're kind of walking on eggshells in Japan. Because everyone has to feel comfortable about everything. So Japan is a very difficult place to live, man. I'm telling you. This is why most people don't make it there. They stay there for a couple of months and they're gone. It's a very difficult place to live. Because you're on eggshells, and if you're a person with ambition and a lot of drive, and you like to be the best at doing whatever that you're passionate about, it's going to be a very difficult place to live. I'm telling you. For real. But the first thing I wish I knew that puts you at a disadvantage is I wish I knew how to speak the language. Because if you don't know how to speak Japanese, there's a good chance you're going to get taken advantage of. When you start, let's say you need services or you need to get things done, you're going to get taken advantage of. You might get overcharged, or you might socially, you probably get made fun of, or or women. The women are gonna take advantage of you at some point if you don't know how to speak Japanese. Because if you don't know how to, at least if you don't know enough just to get over, to have a conversation, to approach people, to get things done. Um, if you can read Japanese, that'd be good. If you can write Japanese, that's excellent. You know what I'm saying? So no one can really bullshit you because if you're on the train or on the plane or people uh, won't be able to speak Japanese around you without you knowing what's really going on. And this type of shit happens outside of America all the time. People will take advantage of you because your lack of not knowing stuff. I mean, it happens in America too, but see, in the other countries, you're at a disadvantage because you can't speak, you can't write, and you can't read. See, when people come to America, at least if they don't know how to do anything else, at least they know how to read. They know what that sign says in the airport. They know what that sign says on the street. They know what that sign says at the restaurant. They know how to read the menu. At least. They might not be able to speak and write, but they know little stuff, right? Now, when the average person goes to Japan, we don't know anything. Can't speak, can't write, can't read. So we're at a great disadvantage. And plus, if you know how to speak the language, you get a better quality of women, better quality of people. You people will introduce you to other people. You can actually make friends because the best women in Japan don't speak English. The best looking women don't speak English. They don't hang out at the clubs, at the bars. They don't hang out around military bases and establishments. And stay out of the clubs. The clubs ain't shit. I mean, historically, you can go back to the 60s and 70s. The club it still ain't shit. It's still the same. Club is about partying, drinking, getting high, having sex. Motherfuckers are selling drugs. That's the clubs ain't shit. If you might pull something out at the club, but don't put too much into it. It just is what it is. If y'all smash, hey, just keep it moving. That's it. You know. And another thing you have to realize, if you get into anything in Japan or in any of these other countries, and if the cops get involved, they're not going to take your word for it over the other person. It's not going to happen because I've just never seen it happen like that. The cops is going to believe her. So all that slick talk and double talking, that shit is not going to work because there's no status quo pro in a lot of these other countries. People say exactly what's on their mind. So, but if you learn the language, it just gives you an advantage because you can communicate and get your point across in a much more effective manner. So learn the language. The second thing you can do is, and it's something that I didn't have, the internet. You can use the internet, jump on some of these dating sites like Plenty of Fish or any of these apps. And they didn't have any of this shit when I was in Japan. And, in Japan, one thing about Japan, they don't utilize the internet like they do in America or any westernized country. So you have an advantage because it's not so polluted. It's not a lot of people on these sites in Japan. So you have an advantage that you probably wouldn't have living here. And just like every country I go to, I try to always connect with somebody there. So by the time I get there, I have somebody to show me around or whatever. Or maybe we meet up, maybe not. You know what I'm saying? But the idea is to get some information and become familiar with the area, especially if I've never been there before. So you can use the internet to your advantage. You know what I mean? And the third way, some motherfuckers be like, look, all this learning game and all this shit, this is too much work. Why I gotta do all this shit? Why I just go buy a bitch? If I want to have a threesome, I'll just pay for it, and and when it's time for me to leave, I'm out of there. Yeah, you can do that. You know what I'm saying? I don't recommend that shit because I've never done it. No one ever told me I ever had to do it. But because the best part about learning something new, about learning game, is no one can take it from you. You have it forever. You can move forward and progress and get better. So that way, you don't have to come out of your pockets all the time. You can use your mouthpiece. But hey, some guys don't want to put in the work. Some guys are lazy. Some guys are just tricks, simps. You know, some guys are just down with that shit. And it's some girl overseas, well, everywhere now, that's willing to take your money as long as you willing to pay out. You know what I'm saying? It's just like living in America. There's always a woman that's willing to take your money as long as you're willing to pay it. And they'll do whatever you like. It is what it is. So, those are the three things I wish I knew that would have made a difference. The language, having access to the internet, and you can pay your way if you want. You know what I'm saying? But I never went that route. But hey, you can do what you like, knock yourself out. You dig? So, if you like what you heard, subscribe to my channel. Check out my blog, chooseyourrelationships.com. And leave your questions, comments, and concerns below. Until next time, I'm out.